Unpopular Opinion is sponsored by Jersey Goat, who provides high quality swingman and authentic jerseys like this Penny Hardaway I'm wearing right now and the jerseys you see behind me. They have the lowest prices and a 30-day no questions asked return policy to give you that added peace of mind. Rep your favorite player today and visit jerseygoat.company.site to get yours.
I mean, it's just like if there was ever an obvious like an obvious curse for any team, like it's the Clippers, man. Like I thought they were good. I thought they were better this year than they were last year. I thought they were a lock for the Western Conference Finals. And like, dude, you just
listen. We don't miss. We said from the very beginning, we got to see something in the playoffs. All that hype over Paul George's MVP start. Where is that now? Unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinion. Can you deal with it? Yeah. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Unpopular Opinion. I'm your host, Jason Rivera. Alongside me, Bo Benson.
What up?
These playoff games have been pretty wild. Game ones and half of the game twos we've seen have been pretty epic, I would say. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Did you see Luka told the Clippers bench yesterday that Patrick Beverley is too fucking small to guard him? He did it again.
Well, I mean, he's not lying. And I think Russell Westbrook told us a couple of years back that he tricked the whole media, thinking, tricking them to think that he could play some defense. He just runs around there doing a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, mostly of what we're gonna pretend that we're gonna talk about most of these games and series, but really the story is in Los Angeles. Where the Los Angeles Clippers still have cardboard cutouts in the stands in the playoffs, because nobody wants to go to these games.
Yeah.
Because the Clippers don't have fans. They just don't. And after last year being told how the Clippers were going to run this city, and, Kawhi did that bullshit New Balance ad where it was his city now, the way they flamed out spectacularly and had to watch the Lakers go from like a decade of futility to winning a title. Wow, this is just hilarious to me. And I thought they were better. I think on our show I made the pick that it was the Bucks versus Los Angeles, and it was either one of the two LA teams depending on how healthy the Lakers were. But goddamn, the Clippers, what are y'all doing, man? You can't go down 0-2 after tanking to get this matchup specifically. What are you guys doing here?
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
And this is a better Clippers team than they were last year.
Yeah, they got the point guard that they claimed they needed. They got the centers that they claimed they needed last year, and we're getting worse results than what we got last year.
Dude. And I don't know, like, they need to win 4 out of 5 to win this series. But like every loss just makes that magnifying glass bigger and bigger,
Like Luka just sprayed them last season, playoffs, and that was the guy that they were like, yeah, let's run that back.
Yeah, well, yeah, here's a tweet from Dragonfly Jones saying Luka had a 43, 42, and a 38-point game when the Mavs and Clippers met last postseason, and a game winner. And the Clippers were like, yeah, we want that guy again. Line it up. Yeah. Like, what? That dude. My main takeaway from this: you cannot be surprised that the Clippers are doing this. I know surface level, it's shocking, but they are very clearly a cursed franchise at this point. Like, there's no getting around it. Like when they left Buffalo, they must have pissed in some Indian skull or something like that. Like that's the only thing that makes any
Well,
sense.
Donald Sterling, I feel
Yeah, I mean,
he
well, it doesn't
poisoned the
that I think that
soil.
would kind of fall under that would kind of fall under the curse as well.
Yeah, he
But like,
poisoned the
so
soil.
they're
You know,
just
like
yeah, they're just cursed. But like, Luca's here. Like, if he finishes off the Clippers in round one, which I think we should kind of all just prepare for at this point. Um, I think I'm ready to put him in my top five at that point. Like, there's there's nothing he still needs to prove. Like, it's nuts, man. And really, like, we kind of should have known something was up because the series still went six last year, and it was literally just Luca. Like, it was just Luca by
yeah,
himself.
but and with Porzingis getting thrown out, um, and then he got hurt. You know, you felt like the Mavericks could have done something last year, but I don't know. I thought like everyone else that the Clippers got their center, they got a point guard that they would,
Yeah, no, I was
it'd be like we said, it'd be a better team, and that's
yeah.
just not the
I
case.
I liked them this year. I thought, I with all the injuries to the Lakers, I have not been that confident that they would be able to repeat because it's really hard to repeat anyway. So I thought the Clippers were kind of an obvious choice. I wasn't that high on the Jazz. I wasn't that high on the Suns. And the Nuggets without Murray, it's a tough ask. So I thought the Clippers were well set up to make a run. And it also, after they kind of got shut up last year with, being the loudest the loudest franchise to have never won anything in American history. After they kind of got humbled last year, I thought that they would come out and play with a sense of urgency, but apparently not. I just it's shocking to me. And if the Clippers don't pull this off, or if the Clippers do what we expect them to do and not win this series,
Well, listen,
you
this
who
and some people are gonna think this is crazy, but honestly, it falls on Kawhi, who was the best player in
yeah.
basketball for about 4 months. Um, listen,
That's what I
what's crazy to me, what's super super crazy to me, is the fact that there was this false narrative that was out there about LeBron James not being clutch for the longest and only showing
yeah.
up for 3 quarters and not being there for the fourth. Although numbers have shown us that men lie, women lie. But Kawhi literally in most of these playoff games, and especially specifically last night, he dropped what? He only dropped 4 points in the fourth quarter.
He had 30 at halftime and proceeded to finish the third quarter with 34. And I think he finished the game with 41 or 42.
Yeah, he's got to show up at the end.
Well,
You know,
nobody wants to acknowledge it for some reason. Nobody wants to acknowledge it, but I think Kawhi's box score, or line score, whatever you want to call it, I think that perfectly encapsulates what's wrong with the team. Um, Kawhi and Paul George run out of gas. Anybody that's watched that team in late game situations knows they get tired. Kawhi gets short on everything he shoots at the end of games. He doesn't have any legs under him, which is why I think it was silly to, if you're a professional doing this and you say I think the Lakers have too many injury issues to overcome, you have to say the same thing for the Clippers at that point. You just do. Like, the Clippers at this point, they have to put away guys at halftime. Like, the biggest flaw with their these last two games is that they've let the Mavs, they let the Mavs come out to a big lead early, and then they let the Mavericks hang around and hang around and hang around. And by the end of the game, Luca, the 21-year-old or 22-year-old, however old he is, he still has fresh legs, while Kawhi and PG are just sucking up oxygen. It's nuts, dude. I just if the Mavericks win this series, this is not. There's no way you can run this back with the Clippers. It's a 2-year experiment that has not worked. I don't know. I don't think Kawhi leaves because Kawhi is gonna coast off that fluky ass title run in Toronto for the rest of his career. So I don't think he's going to leave Los Angeles. But you gotta move Paul George. You have to recoup something from that trade.
I don't think there's that much to recoup. Like you're not gonna get
No,
back
there
the
is.
haul that you had to
You're
let
not getting
go.
back anything, but you got to get something because you can't go the next 7 years or whatever it is without a first round pick if you're the Clippers.
All right, so check this out. I think the most surprising thing about this series is the others for Dallas. Because at the end of the day, Luka has been carrying them into the fourth. And to be honest, the fourth quarter in both of these games, Luka hasn't been all that great. Like he's been kind of gassed at the end of those games as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the end of game one in the fourth quarter, he went 0 for 5 and with 1 point. But Jalen Brunson went off.
Yeah,
Porzingis showed up for 6. Uh, Dorian Finney-Smith dropped 6. Hardaway dropped 6. Like the others
yeah,
started showing up. Game 2, Luka did it again. He only had 3 points, I think, in the fourth. If I look, yeah, he had like 3 points. Oh no, 4 points in the fourth. But Josh Richardson showed up and dropped 9. Porzingis dropped 7, and I
yeah,
think almost everybody thought this was a one-trick pony team. Like it's gonna be Doncic, and then that's it. And the rest of the Mavericks have shown up to help Doncic when it matters most.
yeah. And see, that's the thing. Like looking at the box score from last night, uh, Mavs starters 3, 13, 28, 20, 39. Clippers starters 41, 9, 2, 3, and 28. Like it's crazy to me that team is really just all Kawhi and Paul George. Like it's I
Yeah,
don't know,
people were
man.
looking
And
at that team like it was one of the best put together rosters in
yeah,
basketball, and they're
dude,
not showing
they
up. Like they're not.
we had to listen to how smart the Clippers front office is and how great of an executive Lawrence Frank and wow, Jerry West is sticking it to the Lakers, blah blah
And
blah.
I want to
Uh
address one thing real quick, real quick. I'm sure there's gonna be people who are gonna say, well, you guys said that Kawhi gasses out in the fourth and doesn't show up as much, but Doncic hasn't had 2 good fourth quarters. Um, my response to that is, if you were labeled the best player in basketball for 4 months and got compared to the closest thing we've got today to Michael Jordan and
yeah,
Kobe Bryant, you've got
you
to
got to
show
show
up in
up.
the fourth. Like it's a different standard
Uh,
when
it's
that's put on
it's
your
not
shoulders.
just it's not just this series either. It goes back to last year. Paul George and Kawhi especially goose eggs in the fourth quarter. Like I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it anymore. There should be no defending this team. Even Clippers fans should admit
The
that
5 of them
something is
out
just
there,
fundamentally
yeah.
broken. Yeah. It's I don't know. Um like I was saying, like the Clippers front office got so much praise for how great they were and what a roster they put together. They gave Luke Kennard $64 million for over 4 years. Didn't play yesterday. Coach's decision. That's uh, how 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 are we supposed to celebrate this front office when their biggest success is stalking Kawhi Leonard for a year and tampering with him, even though nobody's supposed to do that. It's just crazy. And I think the last thing I want to say about the Clippers is um, everyone praised them for how good they were offensively this year, which they were very good. But it was also a season in which offense was up across the board, so it's kind of hard to judge. But also, they haven't been good defensively all year. And for a team that or a celebrated writer like Jackie McMullen went out there and said, "Who's going to score on the Los Angeles Clippers?" It seems like a lot of people are going to score on the Los Angeles Clippers.
I think every highlight of Doncic, there's a different hand up in his face as he's drilling threes,
What
step backs,
I was,
fadeaways, friggin'
yeah, I was talking to somebody last night, and he said he noted how the Clippers are mentally soft. You can tell how quickly they switch all the damn screens. No tenacity, no heart, and I think that really does kind of sum it up there. They're really just the same Clippers. And if they want to prove me wrong, I welcome it. Please do. Like I, I've noted multiple times that I think this season is a sham season. So prove me wrong. It doesn't hurt me, and I want nothing more than to see you guys succeed.
Oh man, yeah. If we switch locker rooms in the same building, the Los Angeles Lakers, although it was very scary for a little bit, they did turn it on in the fourth, at the end of that fourth, and put the Suns away to tie that series up 1-1. Uh,
Yeah,
Note, we still haven't seen LeBron be LeBron for like a long stretch yet. I don't know when that comes or if it'll come this postseason, considering
yeah.
the injuries and just working himself back in after missing like
Yeah,
29
he's
games.
not he's not close to 100%. And that's I think that's the issue with the Lakers at this point is LeBron's not healthy. So Anthony Davis obviously can't have games like he had in game 1. So he AD after a poor game is about as safe a bet as possible for over on 30 points. He's always going to show up if he has a bad game. Um, but you can't if you're the Lakers at this point, your role players got to show
Yeah, and
up.
I think it's a good thing that I mean, obviously it's a good thing, but they took game 1. I mean, they took game 2. They did what they needed to do as a road team and split. They took
Yeah,
home court advantage away. I think the rest of the role players are going to play much better at Staples. This time, there's an actual home court feel with the crowd
yeah.
being there. I think Kuzma starts
I
hitting shots. KCP hits shot. Everyone's going to start hitting a little better.
I saw that the next Lakers playoff game at Staples is the first time they'll have a home. The first playoff game at Staples Center uh, since like 2013, which is just
Oh
insane.
yeah, because they didn't even. They're yeah. They're
Uh,
they that yeah. Last year was
yeah.
the first year with LeBron there that they got to the playoffs, and
Yep.
there was no. We were in a bubble, so yeah.
Ridiculous.
A couple notes from that game, from the two games that I thought were interesting. Um, First off, on the Sun side, DeAndre Ayton has looked really good,
Very good.
really
Yeah.
really good. Um, Also, I'm kind of tired of seeing Andre Drummond for a little bit. He played better. Yes, he played better yesterday, but God, it's hard to watch him catch the ball or just be in rebounding position and not get it. Like there's a difference between the difference I feel like between Drummond and McGee and Howard with like the eye test is when you saw those two in there, they got a lot of second chance buckets. And I feel like
Yeah.
when Drummond gets in there and gets the ball, like it's like watching a toddler fumble it around.
It's hard to be too critical of Andre Drummond since he was, like a mid-season uh sorry. Oh, sorry, I just saw something. He was a mid-season acquisition and he had to get like kind of used to the team without LeBron, and now you're adding LeBron back into the mix. And Drummond has always kind of been like a volume center.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's a tough. I think it's a tough ask for him. Um, I don't know. I think like we've said it a million times on this show and everywhere. Like the Lakers are at their best when Anthony Davis is at the 5.
yeah.
Like that's the flat out just how it is. Like that's what you have to do. It's really not a coincidence that they put AD at the 5 in crunch time yesterday, and they got like 4 straight stops and pulled away finally.
I mean,
Like
one part that kind of irritates me about Drummond, and it's more so on the defensive end. He did much better yesterday, which is why they won the game. Game 1 was easily winnable, no matter how bad they looked. Most of those mistakes were stupid defensive mistakes, like not understanding where Aiton was. I can't. There was like 3 or 4 baskets that Aiton got where he was literally wide open under the hoop because Drummond would just get lost in the rotation. And this is basketball. Like I understand that there's different teams are implementing different schemes, but at the end of the day, defense is defense, and it doesn't really change. Like none of the concepts change. This isn't like football where you have like play calls and stuff that you have to learn. Like no, if you know how to defend a screen a couple different ways, and either the team wants you to do it one way or the other way, and you just like do it. It's simple. Like he was constantly getting lost, and I think that was like the most frustrating
Yeah.
thing to watch was him just kind of like ruining the defensive rotations in game one. And I think this time he did a lot better. I also thought it was interesting that so we finally got the Gasol sighting that we wanted, but it was at the cost of not having Trez in there,
Yeah.
which I mean, I guess it worked out. They got the dub. But I did feel like Marc Gasol went out there and he gave the Lakers, as soon as he came in, there was like a lot of energy and he was immediately impactful, you know, like he got
He's
a couple
yeah.
outlet passes, drilled a three.
Gus
It was a different vibe.
Gasol is the ideal. He's the ideal center if you're gonna insist on playing a five with Anthony
Yeah, but he
Davis. To
just doesn't
me,
have like the one thing I noticed is that he just does not have the foot speed. Like homie's
no.
got to
Well,
pick
he's
up his
older,
feet.
but
Like bro.
you can if you really want to stick to like the positions or whatever, then I would consider Gasol more of a power forward at that point with AD at the five. But like it's just he opens up the floor in a way that like Drummond doesn't. Um, so the spacing is a little bit better.
Yeah, but he can't
Um,
stick like there was on multiple occasions where I saw people driving the hole as soon as they saw Gasol in front of them, and there was really nothing he could do. Which I mean, also to Drummond's credit, there were a few times I saw him out there. He was really moving his feet and like getting in front of people. Like I don't know. Like
yeah,
I hope that we see
it's
that Drummond from yesterday more.
yeah. I mean, Vogel had to do the same thing last year, and unfortunately, there's always going to be a guy that gets relegated to the bench. You know, it's probably Harrell in this series, but who knows? Like if the Lakers advance, Harrell could have a bigger role, and you know Drummond has to stick to the bench.
Yeah.
Like
Well, who do they play?
the
Who's
Lakers,
the 3-6?
uh,
Oh, it's a
it'd be Denver,
yeah, Denver.
Denver or Portland.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Lakers are a lot like the Dodgers, and they value flexibility and being able to play more than one role. So a lot of the guys on the Lakers, when they sign here, they have to know that the minutes may not always be there, but they also have to stay ready.
Thinking about it, we might not see Trez till next series. I mean, not next series, but like the
No,
Western Conference Finals.
yeah, I mean, and that's what kind of happened to JaVale too.
Because I
Like,
don't think you can play him against the Nuggets. We already saw how
no, I
that
don't
worked
think so.
out for the Clippers.
Yeah, you, if like I think you can maybe play him against the Nuggets, like when Jokic goes to the bench and they have to put like Aaron Gordon or Miles Plumlee in the
Yeah, or
game.
have AD. Or I mean, you could put him in there with AD at the 5 with him at the 4, but you
Yeah,
can't. He can't be your
but Harrell's very insistent that he's a center. So I don't know. I kind of feel bad for Harrell. Like, uh, I think this was kind of always going to happen to him in the postseason because he was very much like a regular season pickup to spell AD and LeBron. I just don't think the Lakers planned on Davis and LeBron missing as much time as they
mhm.
did. But I think they definitely planned on like having some games where LeBron and AD were just DNPs, and so Harrell was there to provide some energy and pick up the slack when that happened. But um, you know, things changed, man.
Yeah. I'm not too worried about the Lakers. I think they still pull this off. Chris Paul getting hurt and not being himself obviously
That's
helps,
yeah.
although it's terrible to see. My man is made of glass
No,
when
it
it comes to the
sucks.
playoffs.
It sucks. And if your response to that is lucky LeBron or whatever, just shut the fuck up. I swear to God, it's so stupid.
Yeah, I think Lakers will be fine. I think the Lakers take game 3 and 4, and everyone's looking at this series a whole lot differently than they were yesterday or even today.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was encouraging to see the Lakers at they kept it up throughout the game, had a couple nice leads that they lost, but they at the end of the day, when it came to crunch time, they were who they are, and they showed up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. LeBron, that three light by LeBron was pretty nice.
yeah, as long as well, hopefully, I think the Lakers are a team you don't want to see as the playoffs progress because they're only going to get more chemistry and more rhythm,
Yeah. No,
and
more
you know,
LeBron's ankle is going to get a little looser.
yeah, if they can, I think you're looking at the Lakers the way that they were intended to be seen by Western Conference Finals if they can get there.
And be remiss not to mention Dennis Schroeder.
Oh yeah, he was
He
going off
he
last
drew a
night.
lot of ire, and he's definitely played himself out of the kind of contract he thought he would get. But
I mean, he could still listen if he goes off in these play. A lot of people pay attention to what's happening in the playoffs
yeah,
over everything. So
so we'll see. I
if he
mean,
keeps up yesterday's performance the rest of the way, that's he's still going to get that same contract he was looking for.
maybe, yeah.
One of the
Um,
funniest games of the entire weekend was Trey Young silencing the Madison Square Garden crowd.
that lollipop from the floor.
That that dirty lollipop shushed him. That's
Yeah, I
crazy.
mean, look, I Trey Young is an Oklahoma Sooner, so I will ride with him for the end of time. Um, yeah,
I mean,
man.
I gave a lot of my New York friends a little hell about that game. I'm still on the Knicks winning that series. They
Oh yeah, I think so too.
yeah, that Thibs is gonna make the adjustments. I think you let Trey Young be Trey Young on the pick and rolls and live with that instead of letting the whole team get into a rhythm because their team is filled with talent. That team is ridiculously loaded with offensive talent. So if you can just let Trey be Trey and they let the others not be in any sort of rhythm, not touch the ball for multiple possessions at a time, minutes at a time. I think you're better off
Yeah,
that way. But the Knicks have had a terrible time guarding the pick and roll, and I think it just needs to be a change in philosophy and what they want to give up. Because at the end of the day, you just kind of got to pick your poison, especially with a player of Trey Young's caliber.
yeah, yeah.
So, and I mean, Thibs is the type of coach that, or Tibbs is the type of coach that'll make those adjustments. I'm not even
My
worried about it.
my yeah, my only concern with the Knicks is letting the series go long because Tibbs just grinds his guys um to find pulp.
I mean, they're getting dropped the next round anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't really matter, but
It's not like the Bulls
like
where they were really good and then they just get grinded
thir-
out in the first round or so.
36 minutes for Julius Randle, 38 minutes for Derrick Rose in the first game. That's a lot, man.
I mean,
That's a lot to ask of two guys, especially
it's the
Rose.
playoffs. They got
Yeah,
this is when those minutes gotta when they have to have those minutes kicked up. I'm not mad at it. I mean, most teams have a rotation of eight, 8, 9 players at this point in
yeah.
time.
No, I
So
don't. I don't know. I worry about Derrick Rose. I just want nothing but health for him.
my man
Oh,
Derek's I'm
he's
so
been through
happy
it,
to see
bro.
him go to work in New York.
Yeah. No, he's been through it.
But Julius Randle's not gonna have another game like he did on Sunday,
No, I
I
don't
would
think so either.
assume.
He's yeah. uh let's can we please give shout outs to the Lakers scouting and the old Lakers front office after having Jordan Clarkson win sixth man of the year and Julius Randle win most improved player on back-to-back nights.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy? For the longest time I was told that the Lakers were just, farting in the wind, didn't know what they were doing, and yet they have all these guys that they drafted succeeding around the league. It's just very strange to me.
Yeah, they Would that those baby Lakers? I think if they stayed together, they wouldn't have ever been a championship caliber team. But they were definitely, if you had another star, like I mean, they ended up getting in LeBron or
Yeah,
someone
just
else. That team would have been
yeah,
contending with the like all those players are just solid. They're solid
yeah,
players. Every team is gonna want one of them.
yeah. No, they're good. They're fun. I miss them every day.
Yeah. Um. Should we talk about the Wizards Sixers series? I don't even have anything to say on that series. Like, I just feel
No,
like that's a
it's
sweet.
the Sixers are good. The Wizards are the 8 seed. I think that's the like that is the lone like 1-8 matchup in the playoffs that just has no intrigue. That one and that one and Brooklyn Boston are the only two series that just are going to go as you thought they would.
I mean, Brooklyn Boston's the
Like
worst. I still think the Wizards could take like 2 games off the Sixers and like scare them a bit, just because it's Westbrook and
the
Beal. But the Celtics are just dead in the water. Like they're
Yeah, the only thing I have to say about that Nets Celtics series is Kyrie's post game from yesterday, just telling the Boston crowd to tone down the racism.
yeah, jeez. He said
Oh my
everybody
god,
knows. He said something to
dude!
that effect, and he said like
Yeah,
everybody
no,
knows.
everybody knows what it's like. Uh, but he's right, man. Like, what fucking Marcus Smart had a story like from last year where he helped somebody in the street and they called him the N word.
Yeah,
Like, okay, dude, sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't wait to see what the usual crowd has to say about Kyrie's comments once they get back from their clan meeting.
Grizzlies, Jazz. But yeah, the Grizzlies are a very interesting team. Um, I don't know. Even with Donovan Mitchell coming back, I think they could drag this series out longer than the Jazz want it to be.
Yeah, I think so too. It seems to happen every year, right? Like the Jazz are good in the regular season. Everybody gets their panties in a bunch, and then like NBA Twitter finds out that Rudy Gobert isn't actually like that good.
Yeah,
NBA Twitter and Jazz Twitter and all that stuff. Since the NBA has decided that Twitter is going to be where they cultivate their fan base and everything, like I will say that NBA Twitter and Jazz Twitter is reflective of how NBA fans feel. Um, yeah, Rudy Gobert, the way people talk about him on Twitter and Jazz corners and analytic NBA Twitter, like you'd think he was the best player in basketball. Like they're inventing stats to make Rudy Gobert look so good, and yet it always comes down to it, and Rudy Gobert is like a non-factor. Like it's so funny to me.
yeah. But he had 11 and 15. He shot 4 times and he fouled out.
Yeah, but he has like screen assists. Bullshit.
Screen assists.
Yeah.
If that's the case, Kwame Brown should still be in the league right now. Shout outs to
Dude,
Kwame Brown.
it
We
was
love
so
you.
funny, man. I legitimately had no idea that the Jazz lost game one. that was genuine. That was genuine shock when I texted that to you. I got I got home on Sunday and just went to bed.
Bro, the
So
Grizzlies are nice, dude. Like low key, I have a
I had
feeling they're
no
not gonna
idea.
get out of this series. Like I don't want to put it. I don't want to put it. Like I wouldn't go to Vegas and put money down on it, but I'm not gonna be surprised if the Grizzlies pulled this series out, even with Donovan Mitchell coming back. They just
Yeah.
they play great defense. I think they were like number one in the league in um like second chance points and I think it was like second chance points, rebound, like defensive rebounds, and like what was it? It was like another. It was another good stat that's like you need to have for a playoff run type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like they're young. I think that's like the biggest like knock on them that you can give them at the moment is that they're just young and not seasoned. It's their first run.
Ja Ja is a lot like Luca. I think he's getting this playoff experience. He's going to know what it takes, and then he'll come back next year. Um,
Oh, John
and I
Moran
think he'll
is a
be ready.
problem.
Yeah.
The league, the future is bright.
Oh yeah. No, it's yeah. You have Ja. You have Luca. You have
You
Giannis.
have Booker.
there's so many young guys around the league. Anthony Davis, I
Zion.
mean, Zion. Yeah, it's going to be fun. As the previous guard ages out, like your LeBrons and your Durants and Hardens and all
Isn't
them,
that
like I think
crazy?
it's going to
That's
be,
eight. That
yeah.
that's aging out. Like,
Well, dude, LeBron, even when I didn't care about basketball, like I kind of knew who LeBron James was. Like, and the fact that he's still he is still, I mean, the best player in the league, like that's insane.
yeah, it's been
And honestly, like his jumper has gotten better. I If his body doesn't betray him, like always seems to be the case, like I don't think there's any reason to think that he can't keep doing this for at least another few years.
yeah, he'll be fine. Honestly, I don't think that high ankle injury is gonna be the biggest problem for him going forward. I
No,
mean, he
no,
doesn't get injuries. He doesn't get serious injuries that are just like his body letting him down type of thing. Like it's just
yeah.
like he
If
got
uh
unlucky
if
and stepped on someone's
if
ankle. Like
Solomon Hill doesn't dive at LeBron's feet, like he's healthy for the entire season, and we don't talk about
yeah,
this.
exactly. And I mean, he's gonna, whatever happens this season, he's gonna have a full regular off season to rehab, and he'll be back for the next season.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's
And I guess we can't. I
I
guess we have to
wish
talk about um Heat Bucks. I don't really want
we,
to.
we don't have to. There's nothing.
I mean, I
Oh
knew
man, I
Miami
mean,
was gonna lose, but
didn't we both pick the Bucks to make the finals?
yeah,
Yeah, I think
I just was
I just
discouraged by the score of Monday's game.
yeah, I was shocked that that happened, and I feel bad to a degree for Jimmy Butler, um, for being like I'm the most locked in I've ever been, blah blah blah. He kind of pulled a Paul George there, and I think I saw he's like a minus 42 for the when he's on the floor in the series. Just yeah, that's
Yeah, he hasn't been the Jimmy he was in the series last year.
no.
He
Well,
was he was super taking over games, and
playoff Jimmy last year was nuts, man. There was I forget which game it was, either game 5 or
the one where he
game
dropped like
4.
40
Yeah, against the
on
Lakers.
yeah, or when he
Yeah.
dropped 40 on Giannis's head, and they well, not even
Yeah.
on Giannis, it was on everybody else, and we were wondering why Giannis wasn't guarding him at the end.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Which is still a valid criticism, man. How are you going to win defensive player of the year and not take up the challenge of guarding the guy who's cooking you?
Yeah,
That's just I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Bucks are who we thought they were. Finally. Um and I hope that I don't know. I hope that Giannis finally gets to make it to the finals. Giannis has always been like I think everybody's like second or third favorite player just because it's so freakish to see somebody that's built like that be as good as they are and do the things that he does. So I hope he gets that taste on the big national stage.
yeah, that would be good, and be good for the league, good for him. I don't want him to be a Barkley where
No,
he never wins, so we forget about how amazing he was just because he doesn't have a ring.
yeah, no, it's someday. Someday people will stop using rings as the end all be
No, they
all
won't.
to judge guys. We'll get
We'll
there.
never get there.
We'll get there. Yeah, I don't know. I I just want good things for the young players in the league, man. That's all I want. You want to? It's $51 to go to the Clippers Mavs game 3. If you want to hop on a plane and go watch Luca.
I was gonna go to game. I figured there'd be a game 5 in LA, but for like 50 something dollars, but that might not be a
Oh
thing.
man, yeah. Where is that? If necessary, $58. That's not bad.
Yeah, I'm not. We might not be able to
But
go.
we very well might not get there. Yeah.
He might be on one of those therapeutic fishing trips.
Oh man. I feel like it would be remiss for us not to mention Julio Jones getting cold called on Undisputed by Shannon Sharpe.
He didn't say anything too crazy. Shannon doesn't seem like the type that would just cold call his homies.
See, I don't know. There's stories today that the Falcons and like Julio's agency and everybody are pissed off. And I know, I guess yesterday morning on the show that Shannon didn't mention they didn't mention it at all, which to me would preview some legal trouble involved there. Either way, it's hilarious. I think it's funny as hell. And to be honest with you, the reason I think Julio didn't know is because Julio Jones doesn't talk to anybody anyway. So the casual way that which he responded, the casual way with which he answered the phone call and spoke with Shannon. And Shannon's one of those guys that's friends with everybody in the league.
That's true.
I really don't think he knew, and the idea that Shannon or the idea that Julio was like, oh no, Shannon Sharpe, host of Undisputed, is calling me at the time when he's usually on air. I'll answer it. Like,
nobody's thinking about that shit.
Yeah, he just didn't think about it. It's different time zones, different whatever. Like, Julio's answering the phone when his friend is calling. That's what it is. So I think there's no way that he knew he was on. And obviously, I'm pretty sure we're going to find out that he didn't know. But like, it's also refreshing to get that kind of candid answer out of somebody.
Yeah,
especially somebody as closed off as Julio Jones.
Bro said.
But like,
Bro said, I don't know. I'm out of there.
And I mean, like, it makes sense. Like, Julio Jones is probably the best wide receiver in football that no one ever really wants to acknowledge being the best wide receiver in football anymore. For some reason, like, he's a Hall of Famer, no doubt. I really don't think there's a question there. And like, he's still good. So whoever gets him is going to have like a majorly wonderful time. I don't want to say it's quite to the same level just because he's older, but it would really remind me a lot of like Randy Moss going to the Patriots.
I would say,
and I
make like Green Bay make the call, but knowing Green Bay, that's not going to ever happen. So
yeah, Green Bay won't do it because I think the same day Aaron Rodgers finally talks on SportsCenter, and I think he's gone. I don't think there's any doubt that he's gone, because he, at the very least, he acknowledged that there is a rift in Green Bay, and knowing what we know about Aaron Rodgers, he's very very vindictive and spiteful. So I really don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be there. I think the Chargers have to call Atlanta, because they have the cap space to just straight up absorb Julio, and if you can get him for like a second and a fourth, do it.
You know who's going to end up with Julio?
You add Julio Jones to an offense that has Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler.
The Chiefs are going to get him.
Yeah.
Just because.
No.
Somehow.
Don't even put that out there.
Somehow they'll work it out.
I say this completely unbiased. The Chargers and the Bears are the two teams that make the most sense to me. I don't know if the Bears have the salary cap. I haven't looked. But also, again, like, the salary cap never prevented anybody from doing anything they wanted to do. Like, you can figure it out. The same thing with the Rams, although I don't see the Rams adding him, just because the Rams like to keep their late round picks because they don't believe in first rounders. So I don't think that'll happen. And of course, what's going to happen is he's going to wind up like with the Patriots or something like that.
Yeah, probably. Oh man, but all right, that's all we got for you today, folks.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you guys get.
Thank you as always, and
Bearded King.
We'll be seeing you next week.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
We the best of the best. Not too many top-notch podcasts left. We don't even need much time to prep. Never ever know what we gon' do next, but real recognize real, you see. So please tell me that you're feeling me, cause I can smell jealousy from a mile away, and there's no space for that on the show today. Might hurt a couple feelings, but so what? It'll be a good story to tell when we blow up. Try to shut us down, you gon' have no luck, cause we locked whole cut. So just vibe, look alive, pay homage, we arrive. We ain't going nowhere, so fall back. Legendary anthem like Left Eye and all that. Unpopular opinion, I'll swagger on a million. Immaculate civilians, adapting like chameleons. Be cautious in our dominion. Banks all around us on Vivian, taking off like balloons filled with helium. Got cheese and bread, Sicilian. Unpopular opinion, unpopular opinion, unpopular.